welcome back to Niche Tea, where we talk about drama happening in communities you may not be a part of. Last time we talked about the Genshin Impact content creator sphere, and specifically the part 2 to the content creator, I'm going to call it a squabble, that's been happening since about February. Today we're going to talk about something that was brought to me directly, and it's pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but it is fairly niche, and it just sent me down this whole rabbit hole of stuff that I just kept looking into, and I'm at a point where I'm just like, you should know this too. We're talking about the traditional commercial art community, and specifically an artist named Stuart Semple. Stuart Semple is an artist by most people's definition. He's somebody who makes art, puts it in galleries, sells it for millions of dollars apparently. But in a lot of ways, he seems to be more well known from what I can see for his activism, which he does express through art. Some of this activism is traditional. For example, he is an ambassador for a mental health advocacy group called Mind out of the UK. But a lot of it is art related. Most specifically, he's pretty well known for going against any situation where a company, a person, etc. tries to patent or restrict access to a specific color, material, anything like that. For example, he made a dupe version of Tiffany Blue, which is officially trademarked by Tiffany & Co. He's done that with several other colors like the Barbie pink. And another instance was he made his own version of Pantone colors called free tone colors that would work within Adobe when Pantone and Adobe broke up in 2022. The background on that being that Pantone colors are a set of fixed colors that always print the exact same way, no matter where you print it from and no matter what system you're looking at it in, because a lot of times there's a problem where you'll look at a color on a screen and it'll print differently because things get confused when you go from screen to printer, and also things look differently depending on the screen you're looking at. So the goal of having the Pantone colors is that you always know exactly what it's going to look like when it prints. Pantone and Adobe fell out with one another in 2022, so if you were using Adobe, you couldn't access the Pantone colors in Adobe to build things, and so he made this version called Freetone, which mimicked them, or at least a good set of them, so that people could use those and basically get what they needed to get, and he made it free. Stuff like that I personally find to be extremely cool. The thing is, though, he seems to have a little bit of an overly petty or retributive penchant to him. So for example, with the Freetone colors I was just telling you about, he barred anyone who worked or was affiliated with Pantone or Adobe from accessing it. I'm honestly not sure how he did that, but that's what it says. The other thing, which is the much more famous thing that he's known for, is his beef with Anish Kapoor. Anish Kapoor is another millionaire artist. He is a sculptor, and you would know him as the guy who made the Bean in Chicago. He very famously bought exclusive rights to the color Vanta Black, which is the deepest, darkest black pigment that has ever been created. It absorbs like almost all light that touches into it. It's pretty crazy looking stuff. This, of course, meant no one else could use Vanta Black, which a lot of people were rightfully pissed about, but none so much as Stuart Semple. Stuart did a lot of things in retaliation to this. He made a pigment called the Pinkest Pink and made it so that anyone in the world was allowed to buy it except Anish Kapoor. Of course, Anish still got his hands on it somehow, and he posted a picture of himself with it flipping off the camera. But then also fairly recently, Stuart Semple, I think, legally changed his name to Anish Kapoor specifically so that he could go and use it. Like, oh look, I can go do it now, right? Which is insane, but also hilarious and a commitment to the bit that I can appreciate. Anyway, all to say, he's a pretty reactive dude, and that's where the issue comes in. Very quickly before we go on, we've made really good progress in raising money for this team of artists that I am supporting, who are looking to get them and their families, a total of 15 people, to a place of safety and give them the resources they need to be able to survive. I am hugely thankful to all of you. We've raised like $7,000 since the time I started promoting this, and I know this means the world to them. If you are able to donate anything, that would be hugely appreciated. For those unable to donate, if you are able to help promote and share, that would be amazing as well. Thank you so much. So, what happened? Stuart Semple is kind of all over the place. He does a lot of stuff. Most recently, he started promoting a product that he's going to be selling and he is crowdfunding for, called Burner Phone. The idea behind this seems to be tied to mental health and the idea that smartphones are a huge cause of anxiety and depression in a lot of people today. I don't think anyone debates that. It makes sense that he would continue to be supporting mental health causes, as he seems to have been very invested in doing so in the past. And some amount of proceeds from Burner Phone will be going to mental health support programs. However, when Stuart started posting about it, there were a few things about it that threw people off, most predominantly of which was that the promotional images for the phone were clearly made from AI. There's been a lot, obviously, of AI integration into technology over the last couple of years, especially with the introduction of ChatGPT. Generative AI refers to programs where you put in a prompt and something is created out of it. This is where you get a lot of those wonky AI images that you see everywhere, usually on Facebook. Overly saturated, have an uncanny valley feel to them. them, and when you start to pay attention to little details, you notice things look really bad. There are a lot of reasons why people have issues with generative AI, but specifically for artists, there are two main issues. One is that these systems have to base the things that they're generating, the images that they're making, off of things that already exist, and the overwhelming majority of the time, they have taken those images that they're using to build their generative stuff from just the internet or things that they're able to find anywhere without any level of permission. They are stealing art from other artists. There is a very real chance that any artist that has made something commercially, that has made something that's gone online and gained any level of popularity, has been scraped and put into an AI engine without their permission, without royalties, without anything. So that's issue one. They're literally stealing from artists. Issue two is that this technology is expressly used to replace artists. Every time you see this used, it means that an artist was not paid instead. So by using it, you're stealing from artists so that you don't have to pay them in the future. It's a double fuck you. So like I said, people started calling him out on this, and this very clearly got to him very seriously. I don't have very many actual examples of anything because this man deletes comments faster than I can even capture them. But clearly he got a ton, because at some point a guy named Sam also pointed this out and was like, hey, this sucks. And Stuart just kind of snapped. Stuart goes back and forth a bunch with Sam in his comments, trying to say that basically it's not art because it's just a rendering of a product. Therefore, it's not bad to use AI, which completely ignores the entire issue with AI that artists have, which I just explained. It seems Stuart only thinks it matters if somebody who is an artist uses AI and claims that they made it themselves and none of the other stuff. Anyway, they don't really get to a point of understanding at all. And you would think that that would be it. Again, this guy is a millionaire and is clearly very comfortable with the block and delete button, which I think is healthy. But instead, to Sam, he sends a DM that kind of rehashes all the same stuff and is like, why are you being mean to me? Then he goes over to Sam's Instagram profile and comments mean things on like every single post he's made over the last several weeks. This man is 43. Sam, who's a little blown away by this whole interaction, posts it on Reddit and it goes a little crazy. At least the initial post did. It unfortunately seems to have been taken down. I'm not sure why. After that, I assume Stuart started getting more comments on his Instagram about it, but again, I can't see any of it because he deletes them so fast. But he started posting a whole series of I'm just a human and I'm sad and I'm being bullied types of posts. It was pretty funny, actually. To be clear, do not harass this man. Let's be cool. He also allegedly justified himself to someone who asked him why he was being mean by saying Sam wrote these, but these look to be doctored, to me anyway. But admittedly, like, none of this would be an issue if you just listened to the feedback about the AI, especially as an artist, and then just not gone on a childish tantrum. So, and then people started looking more into the actual phone he's promoting, the burner phone, because it's not a real project. It's a crowdfunding thing for a phone that will theoretically be released in December. And the whole point that he has on his Indiegogo fundraiser for it is that he wanted to get a dumb phone for mental health purposes so he could disconnect from things like social apps, which clearly he does need to do, but that they were crazy expensive. Guess how much this one is? $200. And then people started talking about how he's done crowdfunding stuff in the past and just not delivered it. Last year, he apparently raised $180,000 crowdfunding to make a competitor to Adobe called Abode, because remember, he hates Adobe. And there had allegedly been no updates sent. Though supposedly, right after somebody tweeted about that, he said that he did put an update in there and supposedly it's coming out in November of this year. But then you're telling me he has a phone that hasn't been made at all that needs to be out by the end of the year and an entire software that's meant to rival Adobe by November of this year? Okay. He also sells paint, as I mentioned before, and people have been chiming in to be like, by the way, I still haven't gotten my paint I bought from you yet. Not sensing a good amount of organization. As he's continued to get flack for treating Sam like shit on Instagram, he's started saying that he has apologized to Sam and shows a DM of him doing that, supposedly, and is alleging that Sam had been hounding him for weeks. But again, there's no evidence of that because he deletes everything, and also if he deletes everything, why didn't you just block him if that was true? I actually have an idea for a piece of performance art that Stuart could do, and that's where he would go to therapy for several years. He could write a book about it at the end if he needs to make money. That's fine.